them touchdown passes.
Peyton bounces around, throws. The ball will be caught. Julius Thomas, touchdown Denver.
What is up, guys? On this episode of Beyond the Sport, I'm going to be breaking down the proposal for not the MLB this time, but the NHL, as they are yet another league that has joined on in the conversation as far as creating some sort of solution to the current situation that we have with COVID-19 as far as how the season's going to resume and how the playoffs can eventually kick off so that there can be an eventual champion this season. So without further ado, we're going to jump on into it. I'm going to break down everything that there is to it. There's not too much. It's not that intricate. I will start off by saying it's another one of those situations where logistically it just doesn't seem possible. I believe it was actually turned down by the league. I believe it might have been yesterday, actually, where there was some sort of statement saying it just wasn't going to happen. But I'm going to make this video nonetheless because, like the MLB proposal, it's another long shot situation. It's not very realistic, and it's just kind of a good way to make a little bit of comparison between league to league to show all the lengths that these people within these leagues are going to try and make the fans happy and bring a season to them and crown a champion nonetheless. So enjoy. First things first, this proposal involves the finishing of the remainder of the regular season. All 82 games are intended to be played to determine the actual playoff teams and their seeding. Yeah, you heard that correctly. That is the goal. They do not want to jump directly into the playoffs like a lot of leagues are thinking in a similar fashion. That's not really the way they want to go about it. They want the actual 82 game sample size, a full season. That way there is no discussions as to who deserved to get in, who deserved to not get in. So no matter what ranking you are in the league standings, you are going to be playing games nonetheless. Yes, so this does in fact mean that scheduling is going to be changed because of this. And the way that they are going to look to do it in this proposal is they would intend on having all four divisions have one neutral site where all the teams were going to be playing. So that is one arena in which all teams in their respective division, whether it's the Pacific, the Central, the Metropolitan, or the Atlantic, they are going to be playing against each other. So that will completely scramble the schedule that was in place. So it doesn't matter if you were going to play a team, let's say the Oilers, random team that came to mind, in the Pacific. You're not going to travel to have an East Coast series and play the Maple Leafs. You will only be playing teams in your respective division. Those are the teams that they'd have to play in another similar fashion to the MLB proposal, where they have the Cactus League and the Grapefruit League. That is your concentrated area. You're only going to be playing teams that are also in that same area as you, just to, make things as simple as possible and to not have any form of traveling, because that's, of course, the biggest risk as far as spreading the disease, and the ultimate goal is to avoid that. As for the playoffs, that is something that wasn't really in this proposal. They didn't go in depth as far as what's going to go into that, as far as where teams are going to play, because obviously if you're in the Central and you've been playing at your neutral site against other Central Division opponents, and you have to play someone in the Pacific because of the way that the playoff seeding is, I'm not sure how they're going to go about that, which neutral site that they're going to play at, or if they're going to create a completely new one. Obviously, home and away games don't really mean anything because there's no advantage as far as the crowd, the fans, all the atmosphere that goes into having a home ice advantage. So that is something that I think is interesting to note. They never really mentioned anything in relation to that because, of course, a comparison that we could make is the MLB's proposal. They want the winner of the Cactus League to play the winner of the Grapefruit League in a neutral site championship series, and I would have to assume that the NHL would look to explore something similar because there really aren't many other options. Now that we're at the end, I will give my opinion on this and whether or not I think it's going to happen, and you're not going to like the answer. Unfortunately, I do not think that this is going to happen. I think, like the MLB proposal, it's a creative way to try and create a solution to satisfy the fans, to bring the game back to everyone, and to let the players compete for a championship, which we all desperately want to see, but that's just not realistic in this situation. I think there's too many logistics that are going to go into this. It's too complex, being that there's not even information on how the playoffs would function. I think there's just so much up in the air. There's too much uncertainty, and I can't see this happening, which is a bummer. But I do think that, of course, we should all look at it optimistically who knows, maybe they can come up with something, or at least use these different proposals to finally create one that really sticks and one that's more manageable. Because I do think that at some point there will be a return to these regular seasons. I think that something's going to be figured out. I don't know what just yet. I'll always try and, keep you guys up to date if I ever hear anything. And make sure to do the same. Try and reach out to me and let me know, because I'd love to, because I do think that eventually there will be a solution to all this. We will be able to watch sports again one day, and life will go back to normal, most importantly. But in the meantime, as for this proposal, I don't see it happening. And I'm sure the number one thing that you're thinking right now is, why make this video? What's the point? Well, I think that there's just such a limited amount of real things that are going on. What I mean by that, as far as it pertains to the world of sports, is there's not many things that are actually happening that we would typically see. Obviously, the NFL draft is coming up. I'm recording this video on April 22nd on Wednesday, so that's tomorrow. But it's just one of those few things that there is to talk about. That's really how it is. It's a waiting process for everyone. We're all getting this information at the same time, and we're trying to just, comprehend it, make the most of it. And I just like giving my opinions on these things, and I like hearing from you guys as well, because everyone's experiencing it at the same time. So we might as well try and, communicate. I like to go back and forth and hear what you guys have to say as well. So that's the reason for that. But thanks again, everyone, for watching. I appreciate it. And one last thing, make sure to follow Beyond the Sport on Instagram at Beyond the Sport. That way you can make sure to watch the live session on Friday at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I typically just recap the week of sports, which I'll probably do at the very beginning, but most importantly, the center of attention is going to be the NFL draft, because at that point, the first 3 rounds will have concluded, and I'll just give my opinions on all the interesting stuff that takes place in that, all the surprises, the crazy trades, and just everything that goes into that, because I'm sure it's going to be a very exciting draft. Definitely a historical one at that, but like I said, thanks again, and have a good one.